And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit, like God's property. It's hard to market, so we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have.
Well, did you accept that black people? You accepted that black people are Jew, or
No,
you're
but
not accepting that idea?
I'll come to that in a moment.
Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics, with the KKK to control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the people known as the race black really are.
The entire Bible is about black people. Not only was Jesus black, but every character in the Bible seems to be black too. Yeah, Zephaniah and Jeremiah and Jebediah, those all aren't white people names, okay? And Jesus wasn't some tan, partially melanated Middle Eastern person either. I'm talking straight up black dude, okay? Even in the book of Revelation, when you get the vision of Daniel, he's describing someone with feet like burnt brass and white woolly hair, and we've got the deep running water voice with the red eyes, and you guys, he's black. The Jewish people are black people, like Kanye was right.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism, with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
We're finishing now part 2, chapter 2. And what we've said so far is that people have free will and their actions are, some are good and some are evil. And by the way, the Rambam writes explicitly that everyone has some good actions and some bad actions. Everyone. And he takes it for granted that there'll be a variety. We talked about the fact that this world and the next world are asymmetrical. The next world is where the majority of a person's actions, which determine his identity, are compensated. For the righteous, they exist in the world to come and they're rewarded. And for those whose major complexion is black, are excluded from the world to come.
And you know what else, Jim? I just want to say this to our Christian friends, you know, just to call it as it is and say it straight out, you know, you guys are worshiping one Jew. That's a mistake. You should be worshiping every single one of us, because we all die for your sins every single day. And that's exactly what's going on here.
Yeah.
We're all God's firstborn, and we're dying for your sins right now because the Jewish people in the land of Israel are the bulwark against the orcs. Okay? The orcs are coming not to a theater near you, but to your home.
Stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in is called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go in and take it out.
It's painful, right?
Huh?
Is it painful? Jesus.
Yeah, a little bit. And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
No, you gotta be out of here, monkey.
You can get paid a lot more than that.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500. You know, I'm prepared to bid.
What happened to this teenage boy walking through this school gym? He's captured here on surveillance camera, then disappears until...
From the lounge lights going out, there's a dead body out here.
17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was found upside down in a rolled gym mat last January. Investigators say he was reaching for a shoe, got stuck, and died.
We have found nothing to indicate this was anything other than just a tragic accident. You could tell he was beaten.
Kendrick's parents believe the story about the shoe is a cover-up, and they question why sheriff's investigators either did not collect or test potential evidence from the scene. Got some questions about the Kendrick Johnson case.
I'm not going to discuss that with you.
Why not, sir?
Because our case is closed.
Kendrick's body was exhumed. His parents paid for an independent autopsy, and the pathologist found evidence of apparent non-accidental blunt force trauma to the neck. But it's also what the pathologist did not find that shocked the family.
Organs, the heart, lungs, liver, etc., were not with the body.
And first at 6, the investigation of a business deal that deals in human body parts shifting from Detroit to Chicago as the feds launch a new raid.
And once again, hundreds of families will be left wondering if the bodies of loved ones have been bought and sold on the black market.
7 Action News investigator Jim Kirchner is here tonight with a story you'll see only on 7. Jim?
Stephen and Carolyn, this case started here, according to sources, when a man named Arthur Rathburn was shipping human body parts through Metro Airport. Get this, the box leaked blood. Those cargo haulers then called for help. Why were you stockpiling hundreds of human body parts here, sir? That's Art Rathburn. And remember his business 13 months ago? For 2 days, federal investigators dressed in hazmat suits removed body parts of 1,000 different people. Arms, legs, heads cut up and kept on ice, not embalmed, so they would be fresh for the black market.
Whatever I bid, he's going to outbid me.
I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs.
Yeah.
If you have an abortion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, you know, and placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody, and it's life for mankind.
Epstein's bank account was called Baal, the ancient Canaanite deity which people had sacrificed their children to. A victim's diary shows that she was impregnated multiple times and forced to give birth for Ghislaine and Epstein. Israel is mentioned twice as much as Donald Trump in the new documents. Here he is discussing with Roger Schank, a Jewish-American academic and hedge fund worker, saying Jews create vast fortunes by manipulating markets and creating financial speculation and exploiting labor. He says, let the Goyim deal in the real world. In a discussion with the Rothschild family, Epstein says if they overthrew the Ukrainian government, there would be great opportunities. The Rothschild family paid Epstein $25 million for certain algorithms. While talking to Peggy Seigel, August 7th of 2010, she asks if an event is going to be 100% Jewish. He says no, they'll have goyim in abundance. But don't worry, they're just brilliant wasps from JP Morgan. Joshua Finkelstein, BlackRock's Larry Finkelstein's son, is accused of not having any respect for non-Jews, seeing them as not human. This is from his ex-girlfriend, Svetlana. He pressures her to have an abortion. In 2017, Epstein has a conversation talking about if you want to hire the best people, you have to hire only Jews. Only hire those who can prove they are genetically Jewish. Maria Farmer, one of the first victims to come out and name Epstein.
I wasn't allowed to go get food. And when I called Ghislaine and asked why I couldn't eat there, she said, it's a Jewish country club. You're not Jewish. They're not going to serve you. They, honest to God, think their DNA is better than everybody else's.
Said that their operation was motivated by Jewish supremacy.
Why would you want to kill yourself? Maybe I like the idea of choosing when I die instead of having somebody else choose for me. If someone offered you a good job, would you be interested? What kind of job are you talking about? We need someone to help us with our hunts out in the wilderness.
Are you sure about this one?
Oh, I'm sure.
Has he got courage?
Gentlemen, I would like you to meet our new hunting guide, Mason.
Here's a toast to the hunters and a prayer for the hunted. The hunt begins now.
Let me get the door for you.
Go.
We're not really gonna hunt him, are we?
He's nothing. He's less than nothing.
Come on, Mason! I won't take any part in this. I want you!
If you make it to civilization, you live. If you don't, maybe God will have mercy. I think he's gone back to the cabin.
None of them has ever done that before.
Mr. Mason.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10. Explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fast, you can't laugh. If you repeat this fast, you can't laugh.
I want to say peace and blessings to you guys. Want to apologize for being late. I was trying to get some clips together for tonight. As you can see, I have some clips here. It was a lot more clips that I was trying to put together, but you know, we are just going to kind of wing it a little bit. I'm not sure if my cousin Benaiah Israel is in the building. If so, I'll drop the link again for you to jump on at any time, because he did a video earlier, family, that was a very good video regarding the Epstein files in terms of hunting Negroes, you know, and I remember seeing some of that, but he, you know, him bringing it out, you know, it was a great piece of information that he shared. And so as we progress tonight, you know, I'm going to kind of put this, you know, some slides together on the fly, because I was trying to look for one of my older presentations that I did dealing with this subject, and I just couldn't find it. So I'm going to, kind of build this as we go. And matter of fact, I see Benaiah in the building. So great. So I'm going to, as he's giving his presentation of some of the things he discovered in the Epstein files, I'll go ahead and put together some additional notes. And we have Berean Scholar in the building. Let me bring Benaiah on here and Berean Scholar. So I want to say peace and blessings to you guys. How are you guys tonight?
Hey, shalom, peace and blessing, shalom.
Peace and blessing. Peace and blessing.
Shalom, shalom. And Benaiah, we talked earlier, and you did a great presentation with bringing some key information that tend to get overlooked with the Epstein files in terms of how does that relate to us, you know, and that was a great video that you put together. And there's some other things. I just didn't have time to really go in and look, but if you have your presentation available, you know, to kind of share that information with the people. And I got some additional information I'm going to share as well.
that kind of land back. I was going to say piggyback, but land back on the information that you shared earlier. And if you speaking of Benaiah, your mic is muted.
Yeah, I was trying to find my unmute button. Apologies for that.
No, it's all
but
right.
Yeah, but no worries. Yeah, peace and blessings, brother Berean. Hopefully you're doing good, doing well. Man, let me tell you. So it's an active investigation, because a lot of this stuff is just coming out, is making its way on, social media. X is one of those platforms. TikTok's one of those platforms where people are kind of going through the Epstein files that was just released. Of course, it's like 3 million documents or so was released. So of course, people are trying to make their way through it, and just trying to figure, trying to see what's there. And somebody came across this, this odd mention of a hunt. And it's interesting because, since Pascal, actually, since we last spoke, because I was actually using AI to kind of help, do some of the in-depth research on it, because the name of the hunt is very specific. It's very specific, family. And if you were like, well, maybe it's, the hunt, maybe you guys are kind of taking it out of context because, because we're only given like a snippet of the actual email or text. I mean, a whole bunch of it is blotted out or left out. We're kind of left to our own imagination as to what it's talking about. But what kind of throws it off, or what's a huge clue, is the fact that in the subject line, the name of the hunt is called a snipe hunt, SNIPE hunt. That is a specific hunt that's been around for a long time, 1800s. I didn't know this. So praise be to the Most High. We'll get into some of this later on tonight, Most High willing. And that particular hunt is a hunt for degrading people. It's a hunt to make fun of people, right? So it's not one of those happy-go-lucky hunts like, oh, hey, let's go and grab the boys and jump into the back of our pickup truck and go hunting. No, a snipe hunt is a little bit different. It's literally a hunt to make fun of people. And then the fact that they had the N word with the hard R in there really does put the icing on the cake as to what was going on. So yeah, this Epstein stuff, Pastor Kelly, it's one of those things that I believe that we have to decode it just to check for our people in the files. Because I think that the natural inclination is for us to say, oh no, that's not us, that's them. But really I think a lot of our the African American community, Black community is in there, not just the African American community, but the community even over in Africa, even over in the Caribbean, people of color in those different places.
Now,
so it's crazy
now is the same hunt that you're referring to, is that because I know I saw something too about like with Africa, as far as like South Africa and some of the things that targeted people from that area, but is that related to that as well?
What do you mean? Are you talking about like when
some of the people that they were targeting to be part of their hunt?
Well, we don't have the specifics as to who was actually in the hunt. I guess that's still to be determined. Still trying to go through files and stuff to figure out who exactly was in there. But I was just surprised to see things like Epstein took an interest into West Africa. Like he was over there. One of the things I shared was his flight itinerary, because in the Epstein files, you can find pretty much anything in there. And one of the things in there was like a flight itinerary for Epstein. And he went to like Nigeria, then he went to Congo, and then he went to, all the places where the transatlantic slave trade basically kicked off at. He was visiting those places. And you're like, well, what is he doing over there? I thought you hated black folks. So what you doing? And then I actually came across this reference today. I think I saved it. Well, I saved it. I just had to bring it up. Because that was, there was an Epstein file entry about him wanting to, like, I think that it was in was it in Congo? I'll pull it up here so we can read it. But I think it was like in the Congo where no, it wasn't the Congo. It was someplace like Nigeria or something like that, where there was this, unrest, political turmoil. Presidents were trying to do a coup or something like that, and then the incoming person, Epstein, has a letter or email of all things talking about this incoming person that's coming into power over in the west coast of Africa. And he was like, well, hey, let me get you in contact with this dude from Israel. It was like the former prime minister of Israel. He's like, let me get you in contact with him. And then the whole thing was so that the Israeli, they wanted to track people's cell phones and other things over on the west coast of Africa. So they wanted to use this incoming president in Nigeria to do it. I'd say Nigeria, but let me pull it up just to give you guys the correct country, because I believe that's incorrect. It's some crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, yeah. And just some of the things that I've seen inside that file, man. Like you said, it's so much. And one of the things I didn't get a chance to really go in and pull out is with the clips that I share, when you start getting into organs, harvesting organs. So, but in the future, I do want to do a lesson on that. But Marine Scholar, you was going to say something?
Yeah, the snipe hunting. That was a practical joke we played on freshmen in college. I mean, things happen and be passed down. We don't know where they came from, where they originated from, and things happen a lot in the South like that. But when you said, I said, "Wow, snipe hunting? We did that in college."
Mm. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
It's funny because I think that in college too. I think I ran into that in college as well, since you brought it up, Brian Scholar. Yeah, it's one of those things where you take an unsuspecting person.
Yep.
And you take them out to, for us, it was like to take us out to the woods. So you would take you out to a woods, to take them out to the swamp, take them out to someplace, right? And then, you would trick them into saying that, hey, we're going snipe hunting. And a snipe could be, a bird or whatever they're saying this is. But keep in mind, this is at night. This is at night. And then they say, and then somehow, some way, they leave you alone. It's like, all right, well, here's your bag, and here's something like that. Now, if you're gonna just go hunting, I'm gonna go over here, over in the bushes, over here around the corner, and I'm gonna try to flush it to you. So you just wait here with the bag while we go and do that. And so everybody kind of just melts out, disappears, and leave the person in the woods by himself overnight, right? And then who knows what happens? I think in some of the cases, I'm not sure, Berean Scholar, what happened in that case, what you're talking about, but in some cases they come back. What I've read is like they'll come back in the morning time, stuff like that. I guess what's troubling with the Epstein thing is that, of course, they're using the N word with the hard R, so of course there wasn't any camaraderie that they were trying to build up, or any sort of
right.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like a happy joke.
No, I was just thinking that a lot of things we take and we don't know where it originated from. And right. I hate it. We did the same thing that they were doing. They were doing it to our people. Wow.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. Absolutely true.
Wow. And Benaya, do you want to because I know you gave a presentation earlier. Did you want to share the screen? Me to share the screen with you, and you can present some of the things that you went over earlier in your live. Do you want to go through that?
Yeah, let me see if I can. Oh, definitely. Let me see if I can. I just want to save this file. That's what I was trying to do when you came back to me the first time. I was in the process of trying to save a file because it's not in order, and I just did it. And let me see here. So bear with me, family, because it's going to be out of order, so I might have to skip around just for a little bit. But like Pastor Kelly was saying, there's some, in the presentation, there was just some interesting stuff. All right, so I'm going to try to share it. Let me see if I can share screen. And I got a screenshot. All right, there it is. Yep. So whenever you're ready, Pascal, I do have
All right, I'm going to share the screen. Let me see here. Let me do it right now. All right. Why is it not adding it? Let me remove this.
Oh, I need to do another screenshot. Let me see here. I did a screenshot on this thing.
Sound like you going old school, man. Sound like the old typewriters, you know, when he trying to get the paper out of the typewriter. That
oh yeah.
Like, oh, is going old school? Is he pulling out the old typewriter?
Yeah, that's from back in the day.
With the ribbon and the white out.
Oh man, yeah. Anybody who's had to use that, that's you're going way back. But yep. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I just wanted to pull this up for you all because just wanted to show you, like, so this is from Epstein's Island, right? So one of the things on Epstein's Island, he has this pool. It's like I tell people, it's funny he don't like black folks, but when you go to this pool where he has all these parties and stuff, he has a prominent statue on the island, and you can see it here. It is a statue from Congo. Statue from Congo. It is called the Archer. Belgium. It is a Belgium sculptor, right? And I'm not sure, as Pastor Kelly, if you're familiar with how Belgium did Congo back in the day.
Oh,
was
yeah.
it Leopold? Was it the second?
King Leopold? Yeah.
Yeah. Brutal.
Yeah, man.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about unaliving hundreds of thousands of our people in Congo. He was him.
Yeah. It was sad, man. He was doing some things, treatment that's worse than animals, you know, like lining the people up to save bullets.
Yep.
And, you know, like 5 and 6 at a time and doing a headshot. It was crazy, man. I was just like, wow.
Yeah. And so that was from, Leopold of Belgium. And so this is a Belgium sculpture. And it's called the Archer, right? And so this is what Epstein has on his island. Very prominent picture. You can't really see it because it's daytime. I was going through some of his files, and within his files, he was talking about, how, where he wanted it. So he wanted the sculpture position on the east of the pool. So what you're looking at, he's on the east, towards Africa, right? And then the other thing that he wanted a laser coming. I guess it was going to shoot out of his hand out into the sky or out into the distance. And that you can't really see. Of course, you can't see it because it's daytime, but there was, a lot of discussion. And this was like Epstein's baby. Like when you go through the files and stuff, the Epstein files, like he's talking about where he wants it and what he wants it to do and stuff like that. So Epstein worked on this big time. So anyway, but it's somewhat controversial because people, the controversy was that it was like during the time of Leopold, and of course the depiction of Africans back then was savage. They're savages and stuff like that. And he is hunting, right? Again, he's hunting. Just wanted to, I put this in there just to show you that there's kind of like this hunting motif on Epstein's Island. And I should say islands because Epstein has more than one island. It has islands.
Yeah.
And then again, it's not as though there's just one billionaire in the Caribbean. There's billionaires.
Yeah. And one thing that gets lost too is that people don't realize there are tons of islands out there.
Yeah.
And that are privately owned. Like Hawaii, I didn't know who, when you think Hawaii, you just think of a few islands. It's a ton of islands out there.
Right.
And if you can lose your life if you stumble across the wrong island because of it being a private island. So many private islands out there that's owned by, as you pointed out, billionaires.
Yep. And some of them are secluded. Some of them are deserted. Some of them are very wooded. I came across the YouTube video where someone was doing just that. They were just going across. They were pointing out all these different islands, like, oh, this is where billionaire such and such is. This is where billionaire such and such is. Oh, and look at this island. Oh, this his island is desolate, and had some old structures on there. One island had this huge structure on it that nobody could figure out what it was. Just it's all this mysterious stuff that's going on in the Caribbean, with our people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what I was referring to earlier too, that snipe hunt. And so this is the one that's, the Epstein file is kind of causing some of the controversy that's over in social media, where they talk about that snipe hunt that, me and Brother Berean was saying, like, it is a real thing. Snipe hunt, you taking somebody out to make a fool of them. Right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they're using the N word with the hard R. So on here, they don't include the sender or the receiver. So you don't see who is from or who's receiving it. I thought that was interesting as well. But also throughout the files, you start, people started seeing all these things about hunting, all these references about hunting, and, because we don't have the context, we don't know what to talk about. And also the N word with the hard R is throughout the Epstein files. That's another thing. Like millionaires and billionaires who own like Walmart, all these big major store chains and stuff like that. There's N words with the hard R throughout all this stuff. So I'm like, black folks, we need to go in there and see if any of the places where we shop at, the people who, what I'm saying, like the people that are the CEOs and the owners and stuff, like who's using these N words with the hard R.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are these any?
Oh no, go ahead, cuz I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, are there any places that we go to? But go ahead, Pascal.
And see, that's where I believe that, of course, they covering up these guys because of when they're going to list the businesses, because these billionaires, they have businesses, they have almost like endless access to resources, and I think that's one of the reasons that they're trying to keep them hidden, is so that way that they because once the people find out, then people are going to start blacklisting, or I don't even like to say blacklisting, but not going to their stores or whatever businesses that they have.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, take Target for example. Remember when Target said that we not going to do DEI?
Yeah, got bold with it.
You got bold with it, and then when the black community as a whole came together, it's like, okay, well, we're not going to do Target. So,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they want to invite what's the guy, Al Sharpton.
Yeah, that's kind of like the go-to now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. You hit it on the nose. You hit it right on the nose.
Yeah, offering him some product for his hair. Say, come on, Al.
Yeah.
we got some extra oil.
That's sad. When they always get one of us to try to bring us back over.
Yeah.
Wow, some interesting information you're sharing, though, because some very interesting information.
Yeah. Well, I was just like I said, I was just sharing that, showing people that hey, Epstein he's been in contact with Africa. He's has a lot of influence over in the west coast of Africa, particularly. He not only was it just Epstein, but I mean, Epstein was involved in Africa, and you can see this in the files. In my opinion, is that he was in there on behalf of the 1948ers.
Oh yeah, definitely, because that's what is coming out too. That the 1948ers don't want to trying to gloss over is the fact that his connection with the Mossad.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he would, he had a very, very, I would say, how can I put it? I'll just say a business that really set people up for blackmail, and that's what you could clearly see, for example, with the Commander in Thief. You could clearly see that some whether it's them, which I know it's them, I believe it's them rather, and or Putin and those guys. You know what I mean? You
Right.
know that there's something that they have over his head, because there's just no way that he can be you know uh you know that, how can I put it, naive, so to speak. And when you start looking into the details, you could see it. Epstein made it clear, pretty much that his agenda is to basically have a leg up on people.
Exactly.
Yep. Yep. Try to find them in a compromising position. And I guess the thing is, with Trump spending so much time with them, he's got a suitcase full of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, first there's the pedophile stuff, then there's the cannibal stuff. All the references about pizza and grape soda, all the references
Oh yeah,
about
the coded words,
coded words, beef jerky, stuff like that, coded words for cannibalism or pedophilia. And that's just like two of the main things, and not to mention like this hunting and the unaliving, the murders, the torturing and the murders. So if Trump was hanging out with Epstein all this time, he's got to have at least two of the three or all three of the three.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that was one of the things that they pointed out too, like that was highlighted inside the files, is pretty much a threat that was on his life, or as Epstein's life, so to speak, when he almost like he kind of, I guess they believed that he was getting too cocky, in terms of with the things that he had, going on.
Right.
In terms of the power that he had. But yeah, it's it's interesting. It's a lot of things that we're going to see coming down the pike, real soon. They start to pick up the pace, and you know how that goes, man. When you start seeing, what we see, when it's going to be a lot of heads that's going to really get to rolling, because you can see the momentum. The closer we get to the election cycle, is going to start picking up.
Yeah, but I think people pointed out though, because it's like the fact that nobody has gotten arrested, there's no investigation, no active investigation of no substance.
Exactly.
Normally if this was in the Black community, you know what I mean? If this is something that happened in our community, they'd be investigating, knocking down doors, and pulling people into downtown to have a conversation, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, look at Puffy. Puffy did the same thing, and I want to make it clear, I'm not justifying his behaviors, but he basically did the same thing as Jeffrey Epstein, similar behaviors, and also what's that guy, the founder of Playboy,
right?
What's his name, Hugh Hefner or whatever,
right?
I mean, when you really when you start really unpacking that stuff, it was legalized prostitution, and he had underage girls.
Yep. And you brought up go ahead.
This sick thing about this, brother, because like you said, these files, these 3 million dump files that have been coming out, there's people not only in our community, but everybody coming through them on the left, right, and a lot of people bringing out some interesting stuff. How far back this goes? This goes, and I knew it went back for administration, but it goes farther back than that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the clip I told you I brought up, it takes it all the way back to the Civil War.
Wow.
Well, it how can I put it? See, even back then, and that's the thing. There was a lot of things that were being done, that was swept under the rug because a bulk of it was targeting us. But then when you start looking at, for example, what's his name? Ulysses Grant, had to do some purging of the 1948ers because of some of the questionable things that they were doing, satanic stuff. So yeah, but a lot of this stuff was directed towards our people in terms of some of the things that they were doing, especially when I was researching that, and you start seeing cannibalism. You were seeing that they were doing satanic rituals, literally, with the heart and all that other stuff. Berean Scholar, I know you got the video on standby. Cuz any more slides you want to share?
Oh, just real quick, just wanted to show you all the these are a couple of slides that just show that the references to hunting. Of course, we don't have the context, like I said before, we don't have the full context of it, but just to know that hunting was a motif throughout the entire, these Epstein files. Like you can see this one, just talking about Rothschild, thrilling hunt. And it's like, and you can see down here where it says, got it. Amazing old male, amazing hunt. My banker should be careful. It's like, okay, normally we would kind of just skip over that, but the fact that we have, some reference to, the N word with the hard R in hunt, of course we got to make sure that, at least for me, make sure that there's no nefarious stuff going on. Again, this is another one. Lena's party now to hunt. Again, this could be anything. Could be, hunting, women or whatever, same thing here. We got Halloween hunt, right? And, just a bunch of references where we don't have the context, when I was just saying that I was just kind of throwing this out to the community, was like, hey, family, just, if you guys have the bandwidth to do some more research, feel free to dig in there. And right now, I'm not sure if there's a way to actually download the files. I don't know if anybody's found that yet.
Yeah, there is a way to do it. I just haven't had a chance to play around with it because I was going to create a database.
Yes.
Just so that way and just write some simple searches, code to search. So, converting it to text, downloading it because they have them as zip files. I'm not sure if they still have it, but I know they were, posting them as zip files. And I can write some code to do that, but I just haven't had a chance to do it.
Yeah, the only thing is that because they're like scans of emails, you would have to do like an OCR scan to actually, digitize the text on there to make it searchable. At least that's what I'm thinking I would have to do. So that might take a long time, especially if you're talking about like 3 million files, if it's all in the same format. But I guess what would be worth it is because right now, like when I do the search, I'm on the Department of Justice's website and I'm doing
you got to depend on their depend on their searches. And
I got to trust their search.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I do a search for N word with the hard R, they could be like, well, I'm not going to give them everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
and rightly so.
Yeah. So I'm just saying it's worth the price of admission if I can get it. Pull those information down, like Pastor Kelly said, you can digitize it, make it searchable, and then I bet you that we would be able to find more stuff if we did it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this last one thing, Pastor Kelly, and that is
take your time because you don't feel like you have to rush.
Oh well, I don't want to occupy too much of the time,
No, you good. You good. And that that's why we brought you on because I saw your presentation. I was like, man, this is some great information to share because a lot of the stuff that you see, it's one of those things that because it's presented in the media, you really wouldn't think that people would actually do those things. You know what I mean? Like, like I'll share this clip again. Remember when you and I were talking earlier, and I was like, hey, man, that made me think about the movie that Ice Cube did. Not Ice Cube, but Ice-T did. Right? I'll play the clip real quick, and then you could continue on. I'll play the clip again. This is the clip that came to my mind about the hunting. Let me see here.
Why would you want to kill yourself? Maybe I like the idea of choosing when I die instead of having somebody else choose for me. If someone offered you a good job, would you be interested? What kind of job are you talking about? We need someone to help us with our hunts out in the wilderness.
Are you sure about this one?
Oh, I'm sure.
Has he got courage? Gentlemen, I would like you to meet our new hunting guide, Mason. Here's a toast to the hunters and a prayer for the hunted. The hunt begins now.
Just let me get the door for you.
Go, go, go!
We're not really gonna hunt him, are we?
He's nothing. He's less than nothing.
Come on, Mason! Don't take any part in this. I want you!
If you make it to civilization, you live. If you don't, maybe God will have mercy. I think he's gone back to the cabin.
None of them has ever done that before.
Mr. Mason.
So that's what you made, came to my mind, with that, because I remember that movie. That was like his movie came out with shortly after the New Jack City movie.
Right.
And you made me think about that. It's like, hey, even though it's a movie, but it's like art imitating life. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's no coincidence. In that movie, it was like the good old boys. And of course, you had the token in the movie, but overall, it was a guy that just, as he said, didn't, he was trying to kill himself, and just so happened someone saw him and saved him and said, hey, in a nutshell, invited him to be part of the hunt when actually he turned out to be the hunt.
Well, parts of that is similar to the snipe hunt.
Yeah.
That snipe hunt. And what I was saying before was like me and Brother Berean was like, in that snipe hunt, they take you out to the woods, just like they did him. They take you out to this remote place. Like I said, it could be the swamp or something like that. I guess based off of what I've read and, Chat GPT and all this other stuff is that, traditionally it's taking place. It takes place at night. Of course, this email alludes to it being at night because it talks about moon crickets, right? So there got to be a moon out for the crickets or whatever. But so this looks like that. I mean, there's definitely some similarities between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's it. That's the only thing I wanted to share. Like I said, I mean, if you all just have time, definitely, check out the video. But, I just kind of pointed out, I mean, there's some Epstein files that's out there that talks about all of a sudden there's just this random monologue about predator prey. And, you try not to read too much into it, but just a random monologue about predator prey. And if you pick it up here at the bottom, it says, and if a predator, it says, if as predator, if as predator, I can read the intention, protection, defense of the prey simply by mental calculation without much, calories, entrepreneur or whatever that word is. It says, I have increased my odds of winning. If my depiction of the prey can fool me and have me either expend a greater amount of energy trying to catch it or mislead me into thinking so. Now, I guess the point I was making was that, well, this is saying that this prey has a high level of, of thinking, right? Of reasoning, not something that a regular prey would be able to do to mislead somebody in thinking so. And it says the prey gets to live another day. So if a prey exhibits something, he'll let that prey live, right? And of course, if, like I said, we don't have a whole lot of information. Just that, we know that in the Caribbean, there's some animals that they don't have in the Caribbean. You know what I mean? Like they don't have big elk in the Caribbean. So we know that they can't be doing that. Like my family, I got family from Jamaica, and we just know that there's some animals that you don't see on Jamaica. Like, so certain types of hunting is out. You can kind of cross that out on the island. And then especially if you talk about, so we don't even know if they were hunting on Epstein Island or if it was one of those random islands that's, out in the boonies somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
there was a movie that came out, I think it was last year. It was kind of like it seemed as if it was based off of the Epstein Island. And I can't remember the guy's name. I think he was like a dance, was known for like one of the movies where he did some dancing, but he was in the movie, but it was like he basically seduced someone that he seemed to be interested in to go to the island with other women. and it was like they were doing all kinds of crazy stuff to them. It's like a Epstein type, feel to the movie. Yeah, it was man, it was out there, man. It was like, wow, you know, um, I had to stop watching it, man. That's how upset it made me. It was like, man, this is too realistic. You know what I mean? And just to think that those things were actually being done to people, starting with kids. It was just something that just it was just unsettling. And even with like the guy that I shared, the billionaire, what's his name? Peter Nygard. Is it Peter Nygard? Yeah, I think his name is Peter. First name is Peter. But, just him asking, doing an auction basically, them targeting young sisters, eggs,
On
for
the video
the
you showed in front.
yeah.
That video, yeah, that's just disgusting.
And they were serious about it. And they actually doing experiments. And I wonder if he have some experience, some connections with Epstein, which I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
And there's been several videos that surfaced that Epstein talking about doing experiments.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, even on black folks talking about, oh, we can make black folks smarter if we did this to them.
Yeah.
And talk about phases and stuff. And you and another good point you brought out, because was you talked about how justice isn't being applied evenly. About how if it's Sean Puffy Combs or something like this, they get the book thrown at them right away, investigated right away. But in this case, these guys aren't being investigated at all, right? But then, like here, so I'm based out of Atlanta. So here in Atlanta, we had this big scandal. I'm a big football fan. So back when we had Michael Vick, the human highlight, and he was doing his thing, and then he got caught up in the dog stuff. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh yeah.
But the dog fighting, and man, you would have sworn Michael Vick had murdered like 18 people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were watching the comments stuff, oh, get him, oh, don't let him live. And of course, black community was like, man, he was just fighting dogs, slap on the wrist, get him out, put him back in, whatever. But no, they wanted their blood, man. And so they made him go to prison. And I forgot how many years he spent in there, 2-3 years or something like that. But, he spent some hard time in there. And that was just for fighting dogs.
Yeah. And I want to say this too, family. We're not, so no one take it out of context. We're not trying to minimize their actions.
Right.
But just basically showing the, when we look at the judicial system, how it's very biased. You know what I mean? And, when you look at Bill Cosby, I was following that case, looking at the testimonies. Number one, that case was closed. It was closed. But the judges, everything. It was not supposed to even be open again. But they opened it. He did time, and what did they do? They went back to that point and said it wasn't supposed to be open. That's how he got out. But he ended up sitting in jail for 2 years.
And it wasn't not one shred of hard evidence. It was all hearsay, all off of the word of people 30 years later. That's crazy.
And the main person, own mother said that she was lying.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. So family, but at the same time, like I said, I just want to make it clear, we're not trying to justify anyone's actions if they are in fact guilty, like Puffy and all that. We're just showing you the differences of the two, when it comes to our community, when it comes to their community and other communities. And for the most part, one community you rarely see is the 1948ers. It's like there's an additional filter for the stuff that they do that you won't see. But it's like you have to, it's almost like, you know what I mean? Pulling teeth trying to get sources come across sources showing some of the things that crimes that they've been committing.
Man, because I hate to keep using the Michael Vick example, but to me, it's like they would convict a man for dog fighting, but then when there's literally testimony from a lady that said, she was like, well, first of all, she was raped, right? And then she said that she was impregnated, and then
multiple times, yeah.
And then when she had the baby, that they stole the baby from her.
Mm.
So they're not even looking for the baby. There's a baby missing, or like you said, because babies could be babies missing. They're not even looking for these babies. I'm just like everybody else. I'm shocked. Like, you would track down somebody that was fighting dogs, but somebody that stole and took babies, you're not going to look for them?
Well, think about this. And the reason why I'm not surprised, because certain systems are set up to promote certain behaviors. One thing that, remember where all those children was being separated when at the border? Many of those kids were being molested. That's the part that you don't really hear them talk about.
Wow.
Many of those kids, and
you're right.
and that's when they was talking about giving them settlements, to try to sweep that under the rug. Many of those kids were subjected to rape, because that's, think about it. Children's being in orphans, in foster homes. They are more vulnerable to predators. Many of them go into those systems to prey on children. And matter of fact, Berean Scholar did an interview with a lady that shared her testimony, and she was in that system and was a victim of that. You know what I'm talking about, Berean Scholar?
Oh yeah. People who adopt her just for hired hand,
and subjected her to basically slavery
and
other
abuse.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, that's crazy.
Mm.
And I think what gets me is this is coming out because of the Epstein's file, and people are digging in it and finding a lot of things. But to see the connection and how many people are involved and how far back this goes, and it goes undetected, and the people who are involved are the powerful. The people who are behind the people who run the government.
Yeah.
And also, to land back on what Brother Berean was saying, it's like, for me, this is showing that, like, all the stuff that people kind of relegated to conspiracy theory, like, oh, you guys just conspiracy theorists, you coming up, there's no evidence of that, right? And then, I've heard this thing called, that's a blood libel. You're saying it's a blood libel. And I'm like, what? First of all, what is that?
That's the default right there. Blood libel.
And then, of course, you look at it like drinking blood and stuff like that. And of course, for me, in my world, I'm like, that's not even a thing as far as I know. But it turns out that, in some of these files and stuff like that, like this thing about drinking blood and how these, what do you call them? Like how these celebrities, nowadays, you got oil volet and all of this other hair, skin products and stuff that people try to put on to try to make them look younger. Well, these celebs, they have this thing about drinking blood. I didn't know
Puff
that
Daddy was doing that.
Who was doing it?
Puffy.
Yes.
Yeah, he was doing that, and I believe one of the victims or whatever. I'm not even going to call a person a victim because that person was actively participating in it.
10 grand.
Was saying that how. He was using his blood on a regular basis, flying them in, paying them 10 G's a pop. And, and this thing of believing that Puffy was looking a lot younger because of that.
Right. Yep. And then scripture talks about life is in the blood. And I guess they believe that too.
Yeah. So that's man. I'm not going to say unbelievable because I believe it all. I'm not surprised. And Brent Scholar, do you have your video still up?
Yeah, just that it is very short. But the question was, and the question that came across: why was the island in Little St. James? Because there's if you looked it up on Google Map, and I hope everybody who's listening would do it for themselves and look it up. Little St. James, a little island right next to an island that says Big St. James, and it's next to the St. Thomas Island. That area has a connection with the 1948ers. I'll go ahead and play the video.
All right, let me go and pull it up, and I'm going to share a key piece of information to you guys that again goes on under the radar. But I'm sure you guys going to notice. I'll say you won't be surprised what I share. But before I do that, you good, cuz? Anything else you want to share from this?
Nope, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me play this here.
Pick Little St. James.
All of St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands has actually been the base of a human trafficking operation for over 300, maybe even 400 years. These families, who happen to be Sephardic Jewish families, would relocate to the Caribbean, in the 1600s and get established as shippers, but human trafficking was one of those big businesses. The two families that really come to mind are the Yulee family and the Levy family. Both those families came from St. Thomas.
Right next to Little St. James.
Right next to Little St. James. Those two families would go on to produce America's two first Jewish senators, David Levy Yulee and Judah Benjamin. And they would go on to be arguably the second and third in command in the Confederacy during the Civil War.
And they were fighting to keep human trafficking legal.
Correct. The Yulee family is one of the largest slave-owning families in all of America. At one point, I think they had over 1,000 slaves. And then David Yulee, his father, Moses Yulee, started a Jewish utopia in Florida called the New Jerusalem. And he was also one of the world's leading anti-slavery writers. He's actually the guy who started the public education system in America.
That Rockefeller later redesigned.
Yeah.
It was redesigned to create wage slaves.
Now that's the bit I've got. I've been looking for the rest of the interview. This came out 2 days ago. But when he connected them to the first senators here in the United States back 300 years ago, and that whole island was a center of the hubs of them trading us for 340 years. 300 years, 400 years. Like, this was going on. They knew about this.
Yeah. And I want to point out too, family, and I did a thorough lesson. I encourage you guys to go to We Woke Now Extended. And I really dealt with that label Sephardic Jews, to prove that label, along with Ashkenazi, all those, the Ashkenazis created the label Sephardic Jews. They created these different terms, right? So that way they can control the narrative.
Right.
When you understand Sephardic, it didn't refer to Spain until you have what is called the Targums of Jonathan. Right? The Targums of Jonathan, they'll have you believe that the Targums of Jonathan is an ancient doctrine. It's not. So the Targums of Jonathan, they have two, right? They have the version that's like the 5th, 6th century, and then they have the version that's like the 11th and 9th century, between the 11th and 9th century, and they consider that one to be more of embellishments within it. But that's where you'll first see that phrase Sephardic, right? He made reference to that being a connection to Spain, which there's no other sources, right? And when you look at other sources, they'll point to Sardis, not Spain. So they purposely, similar to what Josephus, not similar to, but basically what Josephus called out about the patterns, the history of the Greeks, that any country that they took over they'll take their entire culture and put their stamp on top of it as if they are the originators. So I want to bring that out because I know when we think about Sephardic, right? They took that label Sephardic and pointed that to North Africa and Spain and Portugal.
Tag me, cuz. Tag me.
Go ahead, cuz. Go ahead, cuz. I was about to go in, but go ahead, cuz. I know that's your area too.
If you guys ever watched wrestling, I was a big WrestleMania fan back in the day. You've got tag team wrestling, and somebody, you got one partner working the opponent, and then you got the partner sticking his hand out. Tag me, cuz.
On the rope, reaching in.
No, but now actually he holding, he's tripping. He put his hand to trip the guy first, and he turned his back like he ain't doing nothing in the corner.
Right. So yeah, but tag me. But you definitely hit on something, because to your point, the Israelites of Spain and Portugal, there's some words that they never used to describe themselves. One is to Pastor Kelly's point, they never described themselves as Sephardic.
Exactly.
That wasn't a thing. They never described themselves as Jewish.
Exactly.
That wasn't a thing. You won't find that in like these old books and stuff like that. That's something that was superimposed on them when you read like the new stuff. The new stuff, you find things like Jewish. You'll even find words like African American, which wasn't even created or used until like the 1900s. It's funny stuff, family. But when you're looking at history, especially over in like whether it be in the Caribbeans or in the U.S., the thing I try to tell people is that it's like it gets complicated because you have a bunch of players on the board, and when you see people kind of pop up on the scene, kind of like a play, like you're at a play, somebody walks onto the stage, and you have to know what character that is, because by the time you get to 1600s, you've had the Israelites being expelled from Spain and 1492, expelled from Spain. 1496 or 1500s, expelled from Portugal. Multiple ways, right? Came from different places. And as they're, you had the children being taken from their parents. You had children taken from their parents, given to the Catholics. The Catholics raised these people up. They were called lancados. They were Israelites, but they were working for the other team because they were trained by the other team. I tried to convey this in like a videos at some point, but it's almost like just to give you another example, like Star Wars, you have a child that was kidnapped by the dark side, and the dark side raised them up, and now they're being wicked and evil. So this is one of those things where you had, even over in the west coast of Africa, you had Israelites that were running for their lives, but then you also had Israelites that were trained by the other team, right? And they were the ones the lancados, that were kind of like the middleman, between the Europeans, white Europeans, and the African folks that were on the west coast of Africa. Said all that to say, family, that by the time you get over into the Caribbean, you've got multiple people, multiple groups. You got the lancados, you got the Israelites that was kind of just running for their lives. Like Pastor Kelly, you have the folks that were over time, especially in Spain and Portugal, the Inquisition was so complete, so thorough, that it decimated the population in those states, in those countries. So much so that it was, there were whole towns that were left depopulated. But guess what? Somebody moved in. Over time, they said, well, you know what? We'll come back and we'll be like Pastor Kelly said, we'll be the Sephardim. We'll be the Sephardic. And it was the Ashkenazis that moved in, and they took up the name of the Sephardic. I've got references. I've got references on that thing. Yeah. They came in, and not only did they set up shop, they put a law in place that they could take over their stuff. They also put a council together to say who was and who wasn't a Sephardim. So they put themselves as gatekeepers as to who could even check the box as a Spanish and Portuguese Jew or Jewish
family,
person.
Doesn't that sound familiar? That's what happened with the indigenous people in this country. When you start understanding the $5 Indian, They created these panels and they put themselves at the front.
Yep.
To decide who's who. You know, my own grandmother got on my father's side, you know, got screwed over by that. Actually, my great grandmother, and my grandmother she was half and half, and you know, but my grandmother was recognized and on paper being 100%. But they came up with this committee, this panel, you know what I mean? And she had to go through this approval, and they gave her all kinds of runarounds to get her card and all. It was crazy. It's crazy when I actually studied the history on that.
But
Yep.
Sorry about that, cuz I just
Oh no. Oh no, you're good. You're good. No, but to your point, so the you know, especially during that time, you did have Israelites that when they came over to, you know, the Americas, because keep in mind here, family, the curses are real. The curses are real. And, you know, when they were over in Spain and Portugal, they were having a good time. You know, the Moors and the Israelites in 711 AD, they go and conquer Spain and Portugal, and they're kind of ruling things for a while. Things were good. They were adhering to the law, statutes, and commandments. And then somebody brought in that wicked, evil Talmudic stuff. Then they started going left. Curses showed up, kind of like that little knock on the door. Say, hey, curses showed up. All right. And guess what they had? They had the Black Plague, right? All these, you know, bad stuff started kicking off. And I guess the reason why I'm bringing that up is that they could not get away from those curses, family. They could not get away, you know, from those curses. And then over here in the States, when the states opened up, there was, you know, this land where it was pretty virgin, no persecution, but they did have, because the curses had showed up where they were in Spain and Portugal, and they wanted to get away from that. They wanted to get away from the persecution. They were like, well, man, well, where can we go? Oh, well, we can go over to Brazil, or we can go over to, you know, some of these other places.
You know, I was going to joke because I was going to say, where do we said, where do we go? Queens.
Right. Coming to America.
Yeah.
But so they were just running, family. They always wanted to go to a place where there was no persecution. And the New World, you know, had that opportunity. So a lot of them came over here. Some of them didn't have a means to come over here. So they came over as indentured servants, right? And you know, of course, some historians look at that and say, oh, yeah, look at these Israelites. They were owning other Israelites. And this is one of the things we even brought out. We were talking about Savannah Church, you know, the first African Baptist church. When we were doing that presentation on there, I also showed you that when you looked at the initial wave of people that came over in Savannah, how you had Israelites literally showing as they had servants of other Israelites reporting to them. You know what I mean? So it was a way for them to bring their brothers and sisters over, and then
free. They could free them too.
Right.
Which they start, you know, getting strict about those laws.
Work it off, get free, and do whatever. You know, that was one way. Yeah. That wasn't all the ways, right? Then of course we had that chattel slavery. You know, we talked about, you know, the Ashkenaz and stuff like that. I guess the reason why I'm bringing it up, family, just wanted to say that there were multiple ways of Israelites coming over here into the States, and sometimes I guess the thing that I think that needs to be done is the untangling of it when we start to look at history, because I think what happens is that some of these historians, when they look at people show up over in the Caribbean, they say, oh, like Pastor Kelly said, oh, there's Sephardic Jews. No, those were Ashkenazi. Yeah, those were Ashkenazi that they did their name change. They took over the area of the Sephardic, and those are the guys that you see. Or if it is Sephardic and you say, oh man, they're owning slaves. Remember we talked about Ola Uda Equiano?
Yeah.
Right. How, you know, some people, when they got their freedom, they wanted to purchase the freedom of somebody else. They wanted to purchase their brothers and sisters. You know, that was a real thing. That was kind of a way for people of color to be free. And in fact, because that was such a repeatable task that was done, specifically like over in South Carolina, they literally came out with laws to try to put the kibosh on it.
Yeah.
In like the early 1700s, they were like, oh, too many of y'all coming up. It was, I think 1800s. I'm sorry. I mean 1600s. They were like, whoa, too many of y'all coming out to be free. Too many of y'all walking around free. You know, we got to cut down on this. And they put the kibosh on it where a black person couldn't purchase another black person without having to go through some sort of council.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
That was ratified that was ratified after the Baker's Rebellion in 1675, 1676.
Yep. Yeah.
But go ahead, brother.
Oh no, that's it. Go ahead, brother Breer.
I was just saying that the fact that this, we're now dealing with this Epstein thing, but to know that they had their foothold in that place and owned it back in 400 years ago, and they were, and he said they were deeply involved with the slave trade and deeply involved with trafficking people then, and owned thousands of slaves.
Yep.
Then got involved in both sides of the war. He ain't too family, but we know, I know Pastor Kelly, you did a lot of lessons that showed more family, but there were two of the big family that was involved in it. And this ties into the same thing we're dealing with today.
Yeah. Yeah. And family, that's why you hear us say names are important. Yes. Names have meaning, and they've mastered that deception. They know that people caught up in names, right? Think about it in the church, titles, right? In the Baptist church, it was all about, when I was younger, when I was a kid, it seemed like everyone wanted to be a reverend. In Kojic, everyone wanted to be an elder. You know what I mean? And then in the apostolic ministry, everyone wanted to be apostles and bishops or a prophet. So they mastered that. And to Benaya's point, as he pointed out, it really started shaping those labels like the 15th, 14th, 15th century, right? Because when you look at the Spanish Inquisition, those Negroes, our ancestors, they were referred to as Marranos. And they were also referred to as conversos. But because of how they hijacked, as Benaya laid out, they really did a number. And I was just going to share real quick before I share this key piece of information about the 1948ers. But you know how we do here. You know how it goes, because when we say something, we got to at least give some sources, because YouTube is they on the prowl, and they've been doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So let's prove this real quick, family. Benaya laid it out. And I'm just going to show you just something so simple. The word Sephardic Jews. Look at this here. This is what, they'll take you to. Obadiah 1:20, right? Really, it's just one chapter, but verse 20. In the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath, in the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad. And I want to make this clear. I know, I really touch on a lot of ancient Hebrew, but there was no PH sound, no F sound in ancient Hebrew. That is from the Greek, from the letter focus or whatever. But they did not have a PH sound. The Greeks applied that. It was a hard P. But nevertheless, so if you hear me say Saparad versus Sepharad. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that. So shall possess the cities in the south, right? In the Tanakh, it says the same thing pretty much, but it has Negev there, right? And some are pronouncing Negev, right? But it says Sepharad, right? Similar. It reads the similar, as I read from the KJV. But look at the point that I want to make here, as you see here on your screen. At first glance, this passage may seem to lend some validity to the so-called Sephardic Jews. However, I want to emphasize the phrase "at first glance," right, appears to be biblical, because one thing, we are very trusting as a people, because the word is so reverenced to us as a community as a whole. We wouldn't think that someone would stoop to these levels, to the depth of modifying words in that Bible. You guys know how that white Bible that sat on the coffee table turned to what's that, the 23rd Psalms, That was that was the only page that was turned to. But you knocked that Bible over, man. It was almost like, man, you slapped Jesus himself. So we were taught to revere, have reverence for the scriptures. But nevertheless, the Hebrew dictionary definition of Sepharad, look at what it says. And we got to pay attention to the details. Like it says, Sepharad, a region of Assyria. We see here Sepharad means separated. But look at what it says here. A place where Israelites were exiled. But it says what? Site unknown. So how is it being associated with Spain if the site is unknown? So site unknown is a red flag. It's a major trigger, right? So if the location of Sepharad is unknown, how did the Sephardic Jew label point to Spain? Well, when you go to the etymological dictionary definition of the word, this is what it tells you. It says a Spanish or Portuguese Jew, Spaniards, Jews of Spain. Then it makes reference to Obadiah verse 20. But then it says probably, meaning Asia Minor. How is that word probably even in a definition? Probably is not a word that should be here that gives validity to anything. It's not authoritative. It's ambiguous. Am I right, guys?
Yep.
Now, if you call someone to check on your car, you took your car to the shop and you want to check on them and say, hey, it's my car. Will my car be ready by the time I get off? And they say probably to you, how you going to take it?
I need a yes or a no.
And I use this analogy with this assembly today. If you ask your child, did you do your homework? And they say probably. Or if you wash those dishes and they say probably. If you did X, Y, Z and they say probably, are you going to accept that? So probably is a red flag, okay? Ambiguous. But this is what really got me here. But identified by the rabbis as the Targum Jonathan as Spain. That right there was like, wait a minute. The Targum Jonathan, that's 1948ers. So guess what? I just wanted to show you guys you could do something so simple. You don't even have to go deep with the resource. I just did this on Google, the AI, just to see what it says. And I made sure, don't give me any words like tradition. Don't give me no results of tradition. Tradition is not an accurate marker.
That's right.
Don't give me tradition. Give me actual dates and facts. So that's what I had to ask it. And look at what it comes back with. I'm not going to read all of it, but I want you guys to see a couple of things here. Let me go here. It says about the Jonathan Targum. It says, while we can't prove it existed in its current form in the 1st century, we can say with certainty it was a finished authoritative text by the 500 CE because other writers were quoting it. Come on, family. Because somebody else was quoting something, that gives it validity? Anyway, I asked the question, when was the first usage of Sephardic Jew noted in this work? And look at what it comes back with. It's pretty straightforward. There is no evidence from the ancient Near East that Sepharad referred to Spain. In reality, the term appears in non-Jewish ancient records with a completely different geography. All right. The point that I want to get to here is the conclusion, right? Historically and linguistically, Sepharad meant Sardis, not Spain. And we have the nuggets all around us, family. If you look for when Jews actually began calling themselves Sephardic, in other words, Spanish, you won't find it in any ancient work. Didn't you just mention that, Benaiah?
Yep.
Now, family, I want to make it clear because you're always going to have, and I got to do a special clip for that. I'm gonna do a special clip for the guys that kind of, I call them the windshield wiping people. You know, when you say Jew, all of a sudden you have, you remember that? I think it was the Hollywood Shuffle. They was making a turn, and all of a sudden, a gang of people jumping on their car to wash their windshield. Run back home, that's how they would do it. You couldn't go to certain corners, or they'd just jump in your car and just start washing your windshield. That's how the guys are when it comes to this name Jew. They'll jump, oh, his name is not Jew, the J didn't. Look, guys, we understand this. So you don't have to be like the guys with the windshield wipers, jumping out with the dirty water, trying to wash my windshield. Anyway. So I just want to say that because you're going to have, that in the comments. So if you look for when Jews actually began calling themselves Sephardic, in other words, Spanish, you won't find it in any ancient work. And it says here, no writer from the 1st to the 5th century CE, including Josephus, Philo, or the early church fathers, used Sepharad for Spain. And it even says, even Jerome, the late 4th century, was told by his Jewish teachers that it meant Bosphorus. The translation of Sepharad as Hispania is the first known link, but as you noted, it is subjective, right? Because when it first gave me its initial results, I'm like, this is subjective. Everything you posted was subjective. Most scholars now view this as a later gloss, in other words, an update added to the text as it was being copied in the early Middle Ages. So he's saying they interpolated. That's another glorified word of saying, a way of saying they added that there. But it's not an ancient word. Hard dating, the term Sephardic as a cultural identity only becomes standard in the Jewish usage around the 8th to the 9th century CE. And one last point I want to make, or I already read this. I want to go to the Eastern Bible Dictionary. Look at what it says. Again, some locality unknown for Sepharad. So we got two sources that say the locality is unknown. But then it goes on to say the modern Jews. That's a red flag. That's a trigger. That's something that you should make note of. The modern Jews think that Spain is meant, and hence they designate the Spanish Jews Sephardim. So this is telling you basically the Ashkenazis are the ones that came up with the name, as they do the German Jews by the name Ashkenazim. Because the rabbis call Germany Ashkenaz, others identify it with Sardis. All right. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm not going to go into all of this here, but I just want to give some context here. I do want to let me get back over to this main point here that I want to share about the subject tonight. Any comments, guys, as I pull this other source up?
Yep. Good point. Yep. Sephardic is like I was said before, it's not a term that the Israelites, the actual Israelites called themselves during that time. They didn't call themselves Sephardic. They didn't call themselves Jewish. Those are modern day terms, vernacular that was, kind of superimposed on history.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hit it right on the nail. All right. Brian Scholar, any comments?
Agreed. And just make sure that we are, when you say getting back to the point, that the fact is that to know that these files that we bringing out are we're discovering, like I said, the same track. It's tracking the same people doing the same thing throughout history.
Absolutely.
Although he called them by the wrong name, but they were there doing the same thing when this transatlantic slave war started.
Absolutely.
And that's probably why he got the island. He had somebody who gave him that island. part of that family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So look at what you see on the screen, family. See, I was trying to find my old presentation. I think it's on my hard drive. Doctor admits Israeli pathologist harvested organs without consent. Ian Black, 21 December 2009. And see, I got to find my old I was trying to find my old clips because they were also, it was reported that how Palestinian soldiers were being found with their organs missing. And a lot of that was happening here in the country. Detroit, their whole warehouse filled with body parts. And I'll play the clip here again for those that may not have caught it. But they was doing that. That was in Detroit. That was in Chicago. You know, many people were being found with, especially our people, with missing, bodies missing heads and missing limbs, and newspaper stuffed inside them with organs missing. And I would say this, and I'm not trying to make any of you guys get scared, but you better make sure you don't list organ donor on your driver's license. I'll leave it at that.
Now, I can add a little bit of that, and I know Sister Carol was on here. She could say the same thing. I know, because I worked in the hospital for 5 years, and I told everybody who I knew that if you put yourself that order on you, and if you don't have, you're not one of the elite people, you're giving yourself up, because they won't try to save you.
I'm just leaving it at that. I was going to leave it at that, but you got.
I worked in the hospital, saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah. Come on, family. You better not put that on there. But
what is it? Is it on the license, the driver's license?
Yeah. You can specify if you want to be an organ donor, and then you go into the database. So to Berean Scholar's point, you go into the hospital, they have that in the database. So let's just say if you have an organ that someone really need, well, they more than likely may not apply to proper care to you. I mean, that's a fact. Berean Scholar, I'll let you echo that again. Go ahead, Berean Scholar.
Well, you got I've seen other people in the chat who worked in hospitals saying the same thing. If you are you're in a position where you're one of those people that don't have good insurance or good coverage, and you got organ donors on your name, well, they know why suffer the effort to keep you around.
Yeah,
you that's money laying on the table.
Yeah. So peep this article out, right? Israel has admitted pathologists harvested organs from dead Palestinians and others without the consent of their families, a practice it is said ended in the 1990s. Notice what it says, a practice it is said. Come on, guys. Y'all got to read, pay attention to what it's saying, right? That's like saying, well, slavery ended when Abraham Lincoln, put out that proclamation, Emancipation Proclamation. That's when slavery ended. We know that's an absolute lie because that was what we were taught in school. But that didn't end slavery at all. But then you fast forward down in Berean's home states, slavery was existing, still going on up until the 70s and 80s, and really up into the 90s.
Yep, 200s, 2000s.
And it didn't get eradicated officially until 2013. When Was it Mississippi that ratified?
Yep, 2013.
Oh, it was still going though, because because I did a quick Google search, and it was talking about. Of course, you heard about the like you said, 2013. You had Kendrick Johnson in Georgia. That's that 17-year-old boy. He was found unalive, kind of on a wrestling mat.
Oh yeah, this right here. I'll play it real quick, cuz, and you
Okay.
can give some context. Here it is. That's one of the videos I shared here. Here it is right here.
What happened to this teenage boy walking through this school gym? He's captured here on surveillance camera, then disappears until
the lounge light's going out. There's a dead body out here.
17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was found upside down in a rolled gym mat last January. Investigators say he was reaching for a shoe, got stuck, and died.
We have found nothing to indicate this was anything other than just a tragic accident.
You could tell he was beaten. Kendrick's parents believe the story about the shoe is a cover-up, and they question why sheriff's investigators either did not collect or test potential evidence from the scene.
Got some questions about the Kendrick Johnson case.
I'm not going to discuss that with you.
Why not, sir?
Because our case is closed.
Kendrick's body was exhumed. His parents paid for an independent autopsy, and the pathologist found evidence of apparent non-accidental blunt force trauma to the neck. But it's also what the pathologist did not find that shocked the family.
Organs, the heart, lungs, liver, etc., were not with the body.
That's crazy. And even in 2024, it says 2023 to 2024 Alabama inmate cases, it says multiple families of black men who unalived in Alabama state prisons reported that their loved ones' bodies were returned without internal organs, including the heart and brain, just like that gentleman, unfortunately.
Yep, I remember that. I remember that. Yep.
No.
And for those, guess what? They targeting inner cities, right? Because remember this, and I did a whole video on this, but look at this here. I'll play this.
And first at 6, the investigation of a business deal that deals in human body parts shifting from Detroit to Chicago as the feds launch a new raid.
And once again, hundreds of families will be left wondering if the bodies of loved ones have been bought and sold on the black market.
7 Action News investigator Jim Kirchner is here tonight with a story you'll see only on 7. Jim.
Stephen and Carolyn, this case started here, according to sources, when a man named Arthur Rathburn was shipping human body parts through Metro Airport. Get this, the box leaked blood. Those cargo haulers then called for help. Why were you stockpiling hundreds of human body parts here, sir? That's Art Rathburn. And remember his business 13 months ago? For 2 days, federal investigators dressed in hazmat suits removed body parts of 1,000 different people. Arms, legs, heads cut up and kept on ice, not embalmed, so they would be fresh for the black market.
Wow.
I mean, that's Detroit, Chicago, as far as Arizona. Family, it's happening. It's happening around us. We just, we just oblivious to it. It's happening. It is happening. Even what? Selling what? The fetus. Aborted fetuses. In the what? Black market. Remember the brother man up in Philadelphia who did a ton of illegal abortions, selling fetuses in the black market. It's out there, family. This stuff is real. And like I said, I remember, I had the video of when they were finding Palestinian soldiers, not just soldiers, but people, organs missing. And then even in this country, right? I believe it's like over 200,000 that just disappear. And many of the bodies are found with no organs or missing major organs. Where's it going to? Who purchasing these?
Yep. Yeah, I always try to, not always, but I'm curious about those last names when you find people that's associated with it, like you said, Rathburn. Because over here in the background, I'm trying to look up Rathburn, like what kind of last name is that? Who is that?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can pull ethnicity and heritage out of that surname.
Yeah.
And we also know that in every year we have hundreds and hundreds of black females and black kids are missing, and they go unnoticed. Whether the Amber Alert is only for some certain people, but they mention us a couple of times and they're gone, or they report us as runaways or something like that. So
Yeah.
we hear these things and say, well, what's it got to do with me? It's targeting us.
Yeah. Yeah. And family, I have a ton of videos, but I just didn't have a chance to go back over it, to put it in the format for here. But I mean, even some of the videos I shared earlier in the intro, I mean, I'll play this one video again. Listen to what they're saying here. These are billionaires.
Stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in is called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go in and take it out.
It's painful, right?
Huh?
Is it painful? They use this.
Yeah, a little bit. And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
No, you gotta be out of here, monkey.
You
can get paid a lot more than that.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500.
Now, family, listen to this other part. This is the other part to it. And watch how uncomfortable you can see on one of the girls' face when she really started getting, see that this is not a joke. You can see that she see that these guys are not playing.
Whatever I bid, he's going to outbid me.
I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs.
Yeah.
If you have a portion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, and placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody, and it's life for mankind.
Do you see the look on her face? Go ahead, cuz.
I think that me and Doreen were going at the same time.
Exactly. I was
man. Yep. In fact, I guess they were from Africa. I guess if that's, you can believe what he says, they're from Africa. They're offering money for it. They're talking about using DNA from their eggs. Come on, man.
Yeah, and supposedly inserting their DNA into it. To try to that's supposed to be a type of fountain of youth for them.
Exactly.
I mean,
sort of to what you pointed out earlier, cuz with the drinking of blood. That's supposed to be a type of fountain of youth.
I mean, I don't know. So what did he say? Cuz they were talking about they're going to insert their DNA into the. I guess I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, I'll play one more time. Let me see here.
Stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in is called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go in and take it out.
It's painful, right?
Huh?
Is it painful? They use this.
Yeah, a little bit. And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So, girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
No, you gotta be out of here, monkey. You can get paid a lot more than that.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid.
Yeah, but we still
I bid $500 for you.
I'm prepared to bid him.
Wow. So he's a billionaire and he's offering these ladies $100. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And so those ladies are only, their eggs are only worth $100. Wow.
And you heard how the billionaire Nigard, that's his name, Nigard, right? Go figure. He said he purchased over $60,000 worth.
Wow. Because at first, I guess the reason why I was kind of confused was because at first it kind of seemed like, well, you know, was they talking about like in vitro impregnation or something like that? But no, he literally says they're going to take out the nucleus of the egg and then insert their DNA. So that's not normal impregnation. That's, you know, that's some lab stuff.
Yeah, it's like cloning too. You know, cloning, you know, but this is what I pulled up here. Can you guys see my screen?
I just put up the same page, Pastor. And I was saying they're not hiding this stuff. It's all over.
So look at what it says. It says Peter Nigard boasts possible immortality in Bahamas. Going back to that video you shared earlier, Berean Scholar, in the Caribbeans.
Yep.
So former Winnipeg fashion icon makes stem cell research claims from Bahamas. Let's see here. A former Winnipeg fashion icon is making bold claims about finding a modern day fountain of youth. Peter Nigard is featured in a YouTube video claiming stem cell technology being developed in the Bahamas is making him look and feel younger. The 70-year-old designer moved from Winnipeg to the Bahamas several years ago, where he launched a biotech company and hired 4 scientists to do work on stem cell technology. He also lobbied the local government to create legislation that would further his research. Now, Nigard claims he is reverse aging. Look at my before and after pictures, he says in the video. I've gone from anti-aging to reverse aging. According to Nigard, his doctors made a scientific breakthrough and turned his skin cells into embryonic stem cells. And, you know, this make me think about when you study Nick Cannon. Because when I was listening to some of his stuff about having all these kids and with his condition that he faced, he said it real quick, but he was alluding to his children being able to potentially donate an organ to him. If he should need one. But anyway, from the woman's egg, we took our DNA, put my 70-year-old DNA in its place, grew it in vitro, he says in the video. I may be the only person in the world who has my own embryonic stem cells grow in a petri dish. The Nigard makes his boldest claim. This is huge. This is a game changer. This would eliminate all disease. This perhaps is immortality, he says. But the University of Manitoba ethics professor Arthur Schaefer has his doubts. He has been following stem cell research since scientists first cloned a sheep in the late 1990s. There's no magic stem cell cocktail that you can drink or inject into your arm that will make you look younger or healthier, or that will help you live longer, he said. So I'll stop right there. But I just thought I'd pull up this article to give clarity.
Yeah, keep in mind that like stem cells, like this is like they're kind of, you can see kind of what he's doing. Like they're kind of sort of around the way making babies, and then using that stem cells from them making babies to do whatever they're trying to do with it.
How many babies did in counting that, what's his name, Elon Musk? Because that's what a lot of those billionaires are doing now, making babies. So I think from what I understand, he's had over 30 babies.
Wow. And it's interesting that these guys are kind of clustering in the Caribbean. So again, this person right here, he's in the Bahamas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Billionaire in the Bahamas. I'm telling you, man, there's something going on. They're doing something over there.
They bought those whole islands.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's why, even when my wife and I, we travel, we have the discussion.
Man.
Let's make sure we be very careful eating at certain places. Make sure that we double checking everywhere we go. Just the precautions when you're traveling outside the country, but we still have precautions inside the country.
Right.
And I want to say this to the women that's watching, especially if you're single, please don't go out at late night trying to put gas in your car. Do that early during the day in a very lit area, because people are doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like women are being used to seduce women into these perversions. They'll have a laced out like business card. Hey, smell this. You smell it. And before you know it, you could be drugged up just off of that. And they take you. So just be very conscientious of your surroundings. If you need to have gas, that's like I've had to say to the women in our ministry, make sure one of the guys go with you to follow you, just on your way out, just to make sure that you're covered.
And to interject, Pastor, we talked about this a couple weeks ago about how ICE is up in their season of people who look like us because they're trying to export Haitians and Jamaican and everybody else. So they stop anybody who's brown. We need to make sure that we do everything we can do to make sure they'll have any reason just to grab us and take us. I know we played the video. The young lady said that she showed her ID and everything and got away, but the fact is, she didn't have to. And there have been East that said, I don't have to, and that's when everything goes south, because there's people that are going to end up missing from ICE.
Yeah,
there's people that's been detained and been shipped away. They're not gonna show back up.
Yeah,
they'll be part of this trade.
Yeah. And think about it. That's what so many have disappeared. Children, there's reports of all kinds of molestations that's taking place in these facilities. We already saw what the 1948ers are doing to men and women, sodomizing them the whole nine.
That's
and what you see happening here is a playbook from them. So family, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just thinking, it was like, not to harp on the whole egg thing, but it's like, that billionaire was talking about, saying, yeah, we need your eggs. I'm gonna give you $100 for the eggs. And you got to think about it, because some of us may not have done well in biology, growing up. So you may not be familiar with ovaries and stuff like that when it comes to the the young lady's body. But I'm over here Googling in the background, pulling up those old school pictures that you would get in science class, biology class, and I'm like, all right, so women, you all have 2 ovaries, and that's it.
Yeah,
2. That's it. So when they say, I want your eggs, I'm assuming that they're either going to take one or both of the ovaries. From the lady's perspective, if they take the ovary, they can't have any more kids.
Yeah.
So for $100, they want to take away possibly these ladies' ability to have kids. $400. I'm sorry, he went up to 500, didn't he? He went up to $500.
Yeah, they were bidding. They were doing the auction.
Bidding.
They was doing, what's that movie? Get Out.
Wow.
That you know, I was gonna put that in here, but YouTube been flagging me. So, but they was doing the auction, literally sitting in front of them doing the auction.
For $500, they want to take away these ladies, possibly, to have any kids, and they were young too.
And think about this, family. Think about who they're targeting. They're trying to target people that don't have much. Because can you imagine if they tried to say that to some people from here, young people from here? $100, that's it, man. I can get $100, but you know what I mean? I'm not trying to make light of it, but they're targeting those areas where people don't have much. Like a lot of perverts, a lot of pedophiles, they tend to go to India. They tend to go to African countries that are very depressed. And that's a fact. And so that's the playbook. And the reason why, one of the reasons why, remember, family, we shared on here about the mitochondrial DNA, as far as the Eve gene. That is unique among who? Not the European community, but the Negro community. They know how special, you know what I mean, we are. And when I say we, I'm just saying dark melanated people, not just Israelites. I'm saying when you just look at different tribes from Africa, I mean, they know it. And they've been having what you call it, melanin conferences for decades. I learned about that when I was in the military. That's what melanin conference is. Because I was, that was part of the studies I had to do with studying nuclear. Any comments, guys?
You're right. If you offer a young lady from Ghana or anything like that $100, that's like $2,000 almost in their money.
Yeah,
it's just simple currency exchange. You can do that, or you can do that research yourself. I mean, $100, $500. They went up to $500. Man, they you bought them a house.
Well, in Somalia, $100 is like $30,000 to $40,000. Equivalent. So yeah, they offering them $100. That to them it could sound like a lot of money,
but not really telling them about the fine print.
Yeah.
about the ramifications of what they're doing.
Yeah,
focusing on the money part.
Yeah,
they said that it would save a lot of people's lives. And what it means that it's going to save my life and make me look younger.
Exactly.
But it's going to cost them their unborn babies' lives, though.
Absolutely. Family, this is, I know this could be a hard lesson to take in for many, but like Benaya pointed out, that those Epstein files is exposing so much. And this is why there's an assertive effort being made to hide not the victims, but the actual perpetrators. This thing is huge. I mean, that Prince, what is his name? Prince Williams or whatever?
Yeah.
They removed his status, and other politicians overseas fired and stuff like that. So it's huge. Brent Scholar, you're muted.
Yeah, I was looking up a picture that if y'all saw the picture of Pam Bundy's testimony, a lot of people found out that she was involved with a person in the Epstein file that was, like you said, had started a orphanage during the Ukraine war, and they was trying to, and the people and kids were coming up missing in that orphanage, and he was part of the Epstein file. I mean, it's about 3 or 4 pictures of him and Pam Bundy together.
And you take it a step further. She was, I believe, the attorney or the district attorney down in Florida that helped cut that sweet deal to Epstein.
Exactly right.
Look at, what's her name? Charlie Kirk's wife.
Yep.
You know, you starting to see, I'm like, wait a minute, this sound like remember that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Man, what was that movie?
Come on, Total Recall.
Yeah, Total Recall. Is that the one where he lost his memory? Regained his memory?
Yep.
Yeah, remember the whole thing about that was he didn't know his wife was the handler.
His wife, his partner at work,
Partner
everybody was
crime.
handling.
Yeah, everyone was there, his handler. And in his mind, he didn't even know his brain was erased until he went and tried to get that virtual reality of a vacation. And that's when they hacked and discovered that someone already did a brain job on him. And he went back and told his wife, was supposed to be his wife. And then before you know it, she tried to kill him. That's, that's what I see here with that whole situation. But when you think about it, look at what's happened. Look at the connections there. I mean, this Epstein thing is very big, family. It is big. And you see so many that's willing to fall on the sword. She's falling on the sword.
Yes.
So that means that she's going to be well taken care of by falling on that sword. And others falling on that sword. Man, it's like watching some Omen stuff. Every time I hear her talk, she remind me one of those nuns from the Omens. I'm waiting for the music to start. Head ho, Damien. You know what I mean? Whenever time I see her talk, man, it's like anyone from that administration. It just I just picture playing the Damien music in the background.
And to that point, Pastor, that's her, his financial leader, and several other people who are involved. They're all connected.
Yeah.
The one he hired to be the director of the Navy. Yep. I mean, so many people he hired that are who are billionaires, but they're part of that same ring.
But that's to keep them quiet, because you remember he offered Epstein a job. And Epstein turned it down. So that's kind of like a way of keeping each other silent. It's one of those things too. It's almost like they have them go through like a rite of passage. Hey, you know what? Only way you can be down, you're gonna have to do these things. So that way I know you're not gonna throw the other person up under the bus. It's almost like a fraternity. Actually, it is cult of Baal.
It makes sense though, because like to your point, Pastor Kelly, they want to make sure they got dirt on that person to make sure that they can't go and snitch.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna say this. I know I see someone posting, this is all a distraction, mass layoff coming. They've been massive laying off. This is not a distraction.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you haven't been up to date with the news, the massive layoff happened almost a year ago, coming right in the gates.
Yep.
Just starting with the government itself, over 200,000 to 300,000. So it's not about that, right? Now, the distraction is manufacturing these different situations like Venezuela, with Cuba, with Sudan, with Nigeria. Every time the Epsteins began to start escalating in discussion, he goes and do something. That is the playbook from the 1948ers. That is Netanyahu. That's the only reason why he's still in power, is because technically they are in warfare. They're in a state of war, so to speak.
That's right.
That's the only reason. So he has to keep what conflict going, so that way what he's not removed. And he's the commander in thief is taking that same playbook. And if you notice, watch what's going to happen. Something else going to happen. All of a sudden, when it start rising up the discussion, now he's sending ships over to Cuba. What did Cuba have to do with anything? Except that we know that so many of our ancestors, Israelites, were filtered through Cuba. Erasing history too, right? So it's not a coincidence, family. You know, we're not saying this to scare you or nothing like that, but at the same time, provoke you to sharpen your discernment. So this is not, you know, when you start saying stuff is a distraction, no, the distraction is those that are trying to call this stuff a distraction.
Exactly.
Why? Because we need to be on top of what's going on. You think that the Messiah wasn't on top of what was going on? He was on top of it. Oh, go ahead, Berean Scott. Look like you were saying something.
No, you're exactly right, Pastor, because it's up to us to be able to discern the signs of the time. And I mean, coming from me, I was always the ones that used to cry, y'all just conspiracy theories. But the word, you know, now I'm finding out that the actual term conspiracy theories was put out by the CIA to debunk people who were trying to proclaim things they were actually doing. Now, for us as a people, it's good for us to look at these things. We're not to get all tired, but we need to know, because number one, we need to keep our community safe. Number two, the signs of the time, things are increasing. Prophecy being fulfilled. These people are happening because that's what they are designed to be this way.
Yeah.
But we didn't know who we are and take our place.
And family, and when you understand this type of beast, collateral damage is everyone. They don't care about no one. When you start dealing with billionaires, they care about their people to a certain extent, but their ultimate color is green. Collateral damage. You know what I mean? And you see Trump to throw anyone up under the bus. As long as if you're in agreement with them, you good. But once you disagree with them, look at what happened with Marjorie. Is that name Marjorie Taylor or whatever?
Marjorie Green, yeah.
Oh, Green. I'm saying Taylor. Man, I'm butchering her name.
Marjorie Taylor Green. That's a middle name. Marjorie Taylor Green.
Okay. All right. So look at how he flipped on her. The only person that, and I'm just going to say this, family, that seemed to be, they're not saying anything about, is Candace Owens. You would have think that this administration would have already said something. They haven't said much about her. And she even said it again, that she's not supporting him. She's not supporting Democrats. She's not a Democrat, not a Republican. She is all about truth. And she take all of them. You know what I mean? I'll leave that alone, family. But, you know, you would have think that they would have been said something about her with all the stuff that she's calling out. Anyway, any comments as we get ready to wrap up, guys? You know, I'll yield the floor to you guys if you guys want to make any final thoughts or any final points that we may have, missed. And let me say this. Come on, guys. Stop with that agent stuff. Let me put that out there. You know, every time you mention someone, oh, Candace Owens, let's stop. Let's stop with that agent stuff. Every time you turn to somebody, agent. Explain to me what an agent is. I got called agent, right, guys?
Yeah.
Come on, family. You know, the stuff that she's doing. Come on, family. I never thought I would see the day. Am I right, Benaiah? We never thought, we talk about this offline. We never thought that we would see the day that she's doing what she's doing, going against the 1948ers.
Yeah. She's definitely changed her position over the time. And, you know, I can appreciate that. Not where, of course, all of us can say the same thing. We're not where we need to be or want to be, but it is a process. So it's been interesting to watch her process as she's moved away from that pro 1948 stance to right now she's embracing Catholicism, and I think part of her journey is eventually, with her discovering the truth, she'll eventually also discover the truth of Catholicism as well, especially when it comes to slavery and the asientos, the authorization of the transatlantic slave trade and stuff like that, and some of the ways in which they were actually, I mean, you talk about bishops and people that were part of the church, people of the cloth, so to speak, how they literally set up shop off of the coast of Africa in some of these islands, and how these people of the cloth literally went and owned people. They went and extracted their slaves or whatnot from the continent, from the mainland, and pulled them over into this island, and they were theirs. How for each brown body that was taken from the continent, there was a tax that was due to the church, to the Catholic Church, for each brown body that was taken. So they were in it too. They got their own rap sheet, when it comes to our people. So,
huge. Go ahead, cuz I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious so when she comes across that history, I'm curious to see where she goes from there. So, but yeah.
And me personally, I believe she came across it. I just believe that, kind of like that thing of, think about the position that she kind of nested herself in.
Yeah.
The children, the marrying. I believe that is kind of like her window of protection. Her hedge of protection.
Yeah.
Because there's no way, even when she made that comment saying that about Kanye West, that she's, that Kanye West is somewhere sleeping, and basically the way that she said it was like she was waiting for him to take the lead. She was going to follow his lead, and then he disappeared on her. But the things that she's been saying, and she said, I mean, she's been watching what we do, or someone on her team, because even some of the information she shared. But I find it hard to believe that she has no clue about what the Roman Catholic Church has done to our community, especially all the stuff that she's shared and revealed.
Yeah, and then talk about the her being a triple agent and stuff like that. I'm a practical person when it comes to things, and it's like when you look at the Black community as a whole, and you look at the the different entities and things that have come against us. I kind of liken it to Jurassic Park. If you guys ever watched the movie, I mean, all those different Jurassic Park movies, they got the big dinosaurs and they got the small ones, right? They got the T-Rex, Quadrometus Rex, whatever they call them, and then they got the little ones that be hiding in the bushes, and when you look at the Black community as a whole, we've had all these proverbial dinosaurs come against us. We had the small ones and the big ones. We had the very big ones that have just decimated our communities. When you talk about Black Wall Street, Red Summer, and all these other things that have come against us, transatlantic slave trade. Who had their hands in the transatlantic slave trade? What we're finding out, I was like, oh man, it's been the same big dinosaur all this time, right?
Yep.
And so I'm worried about the big dinosaur, not the small one. I would, like, if I had my others as far as which ones I would take off the board, I would rather take off the big Tyrannosaurus Rex that would decimate whole towns of black and brown people. And I much rather deal with the small one. So when people talk about, well, Candace said this about George Floyd, or Candace said that about Black Lives Matter, I'm like, that's a small dinosaur to me.
Well, she even admitted, right,
Yeah.
in the interview she did with Rasad, right, that she made it clear. She was like, basically she was indoctrinated.
Right.
And think about it. And many think that Candace Owens is an old lady. I mean, she been in this, well, now she about 34, 35. But they started indoctrinating her when she was like 23, 24 years old. Maybe younger than that from what I researched. But even then, they threw a lot of money at her. And we all have that moment that we say, hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I can't rock with this right here. Now, her thing was dealing with the Palestinians. But then she couldn't understand why internally, as she admitted, why they making a big deal of it. And it led her to this path. Now, ours, your transition, my transition, we all have our different things that was like, wait a minute. For me, I always knew that I'm an Israelite, but just so happened I'm reading John 8. Now I done taught John 8. I done preached sermons, not on the whole chapter, but also just on that one key passage. And y'all know what I'm talking about. And you know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Can I get a yeah? But I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna do a full teaching off of John 8. And I haven't been the same since. Because it's like, wait a minute, whoa, what did I just read here? So we all have our like the old school would say, come to Jesus moment, or Damascus Road moment, or the burning bush moment. So it comes with the territory, family. And like Benaiah pointed out, we all had to start somewhere. And our starting point may not be the same. But I believe if you are truly seeking truth with a genuine heart, guess what's going to happen? We should all land at the same address. And we're witnesses here. Never in a million years I would have thought that Benaiah was my cousin. Right, Benaiah?
Right.
Would ever thought that we related? Me, you, and Majors.
Yeah, and all working on that Savannah project too.
Yeah. Berean Scholar, who'd have thought that we'd end up at the same address, you and I? I mean, you never would have thought. Now here it is. Benaiah got the Hebrew on the hitting Hebrew things going on. I never thought that he was, thought about him being my cousin. He just, doing his thing, and lo and behold, we had a certain fight. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying this, family, saying all this to say, we all have a starting point. Hey, look, if the disciples with Apostle Paul, all what he was doing, they accepted him, but they still kept their eyes on him. If you read the scriptures, they still kept their eyes on him. So anyway, don't want to get sidetracked and start sounding like I'm rambling, but family, I just to go back to the main point here, the Epstein files, man, I believe that this right here is this is the thing that that's really going to expose so much, and we see so much is being revealed right now. Like you said, Benaiah, this is that big dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm on. Any I'll let you guys close out with the final comments. I'll start with you, Berean Scholar.
Well, I think
with the symphony music playing in the background.
It's up to us. I mean, when I was in church, we used to tell people the biggest thing that the enemy has in common is going for him is for you to believe that he don't exist. And I love that analogy that Benal just gave, that the big dinosaur, when you said we didn't know that enemy exists. When it's not a distraction, it exists, and we need to see and know what's going on. And it's up to us to be able to read the signs of the time. It's up to us to be able to see what's going on in the news, not be distracted by the entertainment and the things that there's a lot of things that go on, the flashes and the entertainment and the music and all that, but to see behind that, to see what's really calling the shots, because just when you connect these files to who's behind this guy who was funding him money, how those islands has been a nest haven for people who was trading bodies for 300 years, you know, and we know who those people are. They're part of the people that, you know, we call them rep 39, rep 29s. Guys, this is a plot that the enemy is put against us. So we need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And somebody saying discretion, I just think, I don't. Well, you're still what other people say. You're not woke.
Mm.
And the biggest enemy to falsehood and lies, people being awakened with their eyes open.
Yeah.
And to your point, Brother Brian, it's like I mean, once you know who the enemy is, you can kind of move differently. Like, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like if you have a group of people, like whether you're at work or something like that, and you know somebody's working against you, you don't know who that person is. You know, you're working on a team, your project or whatever. But once that person's been identified, then when you get those little side conversations like, hey, well, why don't you come out to lunch with me and we'll work on this, or hey, I made some food for you. You know, eat this. I made some cookies for you. These some special brownies for you, Brother Berean. You might be like, nah, I'm good. You might be like, I'm allergic to something, you know. But I guess my point is that, you know, once you know who the enemy is, you know, who's been working against you all this time, you know how to map your walkout, you know, make your decisions and stuff like that. So yeah, like you said, Pastor Kelly, you know, I think these Epstein files are going to be huge. I mean, they're already huge and they're already revealing a lot. But I believe, because, you know, like I told people, when they first released these things, like this last batch, the spokesman, I forgot it, the DOJ spokesman said something to the fact of, we are not going to release anything that has to do with people being unalive. So by him stating that, he's saying that we have the pictures or videos of people being unalive, but we're not going to release it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they said that we're not going to, and I think what he said, we're not going to release the pictures of people being eaten or cannibalism. Basically, they got the pictures. You know what I'm saying? Man, there's some wicked, evil stuff, family. Wicked, evil stuff. Anyway, when it comes out, you know, praise be to the Most High, it will reveal them, and we'll know how they have been impacting our community all these years.
Absolutely. So, Berean Scholar, let the people know what your channel. Drop it in the link real quick, and then Benaiah, you can have the final word. You there, Berean Scholar?
Oh yeah. I was looking for dropping my channel in the link. I thought we wanted Benaiah to say something. Guys, this has been something that we've been doing the whole month. This what we call Black History now. We've been calling the month of the Great Awakening. So we're doing a lot of series on highlighting people. In fact, I'm glad you brought up the Wall Street. We're going to highlight a survivor, descendant of a survivor from the Black Wall Street. So please come out and check us out. Go to the channel. I'll drop the link in the chat. Please. I've had people in my comments saying that I can't subscribe anymore to your channel, and they cutting out the notification. So it is thank you for you guys liking, sharing, posting on your channel so we can get beyond these blocks they try to put on us.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the big leagues, right, Benaiah?
Right.
If they doing that, that means you got called up to the big leagues, because we've been dealing with that for quite some time. So, but really appreciate you, Berean Scholar. Benaiah, you got the floor, man.
Oh, just real quick, family. The African Israelite Justice Foundation working on a virtual conference. So with all this crazy stuff that's going on, family, just want to kind of do some, get together as a family and do some practical things. Kind of we'll go over some practical things, whether it's farming, whether it's networking, that sort of thing, just so that when something's going to crash, whether it's going to be the banking systems or something's going to crash. Just want to make sure that we as a community have a plan in place so that we know what to do and how to move. If you study Martin Luther King and the progenitors when it comes to civil rights, they had a plan. They got together. In plain sight, right? I mean, because of course we can't do this behind the scenes, because we don't know who's who, but we're going to get together in plain sight. And that conference, we're targeting tentatively in March. We'll see if the date still holds up, but most high willing, we'll have some promotions out there within, I think this coming week, we'll have some promotions out there for us. So just be on the lookout for that, fam.
I'm on. And Benaiah, can you let the people know about your channel and also your book?
Yes.
Oh, well, just I'm trying to promote HebrewConnect.tv. So if you're not on HebrewConnect.tv, definitely go and sign up for that. I have a channel over there, Benaiah Israel. So just look for Benaiah Israel, Hebrew Connect TV. And it's Black History Month. So if you're interested in a Black History book, Black History Case Files, Buried Heritage, it's over on Amazon, all the different bookstores and stuff like that. But it's one of those books, family, where you can grab it and send it to somebody that's not aware that we are the people of the book, and it will lay out the evidence that we are the people of the book. Of course, using the references that are from the 1850s and older. So Black History Case Files, Buried Heritage. Yeah, but thanks, Pastor Kelly. Thanks, Brother Marie. It's great having this discussion tonight.
I'm on. And guys, I didn't even know Sister Carol was in the building. Drop your links inside the chat for the people to go to your channels. And Benaiah, you sitting there at just at 100 G's. They doing everything to keep you from going over that threshold. So family, Hebrew Connect, and also subscribe to Benaiah's channel. But they doing everything. You should have been hit that number. We know what they're doing to keep your numbers down. But we're gonna keep this truth going out, family. We're gonna keep this truth going out. All right. No matter what they try to do, we're gonna keep this truth going out. All right. But again, family, appreciate you. In the words of Yahweh, the word that he gave to Moses and to give to Israel in Exodus chapter 14, verse 14, 13 and 14, he said, "Fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today would not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you." But here's the kicker. We have to hold our peace. Can't go back, can't stay here. We have to keep moving forward. And before I close, I saw a couple of super chats pop up. Let me just give you guys an acknowledgement here. I want to say peace and blessings to Bert and Cherubim, or is that Bert and Cher Rubin? Trying to make sure I don't butcher it, but forgive me if I mispronounce it, because I can't tell if it's Cher. Yeah, it's Cherubin. All right. But Bert and Cherubin, thank you for the love and support. Thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for your time, taking your time out of your schedule to allow us to basically give you some information. Thank you for watching the channel, watching the content here. Really appreciate you, and thank you for the love and support. And family, let's show some love for Bert and Truman. 6852. Let's show some love for Bert right now, family. And also, as my soul prosper, thank you for the love and support, family. Show some love for them right now, and really appreciate it. And want to say this to you guys, for those that are, if you're looking for to connect with our ministry offline, we do have an actual ministry, and you want to get connected with the Bible study, our prayer call, or if you're in the Richmond, Virginia area, and you would like to come visit our assembly, drop me an email at wearewokenow@gmail.com. And we are planning, to transition to our new property. We should be breaking ground in a matter of a week or two. We're waiting for the land to thaw out because of all the snow that we got. So it's still kind of wet and kind of frozen. So keep us in prayer, and look forward to having the grand opening and to have you guys come and celebrate with us. So it's going to be a big celebration. So I'm anticipating by the May, June-ish time frame to have phase 1 done. So if you're interested in our
Hallelujah.
Bible studies, again, shoot me a link. In that way, we'll give you information on the next steps to connect with us. Been having a great time. And I see one more here. Let me get this other super sticker here. Septuagint Maccabees. Could you say that line again? What line? I can't even remember what line. So is that the Exodus? Can't go back. I'll say that. I think you're referring to that. But nevertheless, family, again, like the old school would say, we could do it better together. Let's show some love for all those that contributed tonight. Again, Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14. Fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But here's the kicker, family. We have to hold our peace. In other words, calculated silence. And the Hebrew word there in the text is karash, which means be quiet. Can't go back. Can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.